This is a first look video at the new Insta360 ONE X2, the new flagship consumer 360 camera from Insta360.
This is a CineD review, supported by B&H and CVP.
Hi guys, you're watching CineD. My name is Nino, and today I'm going to take a quick first look at the new Insta360 ONE X2, the new flagship camera in their lineup. Now, this is really just a first look video, it's not a full review, but I just wanted to share some quick first impressions of this new camera with you guys. But what is special about 360 video? Well, actually, when is the last time you saw a 360 video as a 360 video online? That has probably been a while ago. Now, the trend to actually shoot 360 for 360 display is kind of over, in my opinion. You don't really see a lot of people using VR goggles to watch movies in 360. But what has really happened is that a lot of people shoot on 360 cameras to finish in a normal 16:9 or similar aspect ratio. Now, why would people do that? Well, very simple. With a camera like this, you can record an entire discussion, for example, between a lot of people, between several people around a table with one camera. And then you can pan and scan around and just pick the shots that you need for whoever is talking. Or, and that is even more important, for action scenes, of course, you can just film the action. You can just point it and then decide afterwards what you're actually gonna show in your edit. And that is what Insta360 has become really good at with their mobile app. Now, with the new ONE X2, what is different? It looks very similar, but if you put them side by side, you already see that there's a difference in thickness. Now, the most obvious change here is that it boasts a much larger battery. So if I open this here, you see this is a very large battery. It's actually a over 1,600 milliamp hours battery. Now that means, and I tried it, you can have this camera running for around 70 to 80 minutes straight with this camera on a full charge. Now this is amazing. Now, what else is different? Now, obviously you see that there is a colored screen in there now. It's a round LCD screen, which is quite amazing. And it's a touch screen as well. So you can actually pan around your image here and just see what both of the cameras are shooting. It's doing an instantaneous stitch. So you see your entire 360 image. That is really amazing. You can also use all the settings, of course, through that screen as well. You can go from standard video to HDR video to time-lapse video or time shift. But yeah, I mostly tried the standard and the HDR modes. So all the videos you're seeing have been shot either in that standard mode or HDR. Now, standard mode, you can set it in the app to log. So you can record a log image, so here you have more dynamic range, like you were able with other Insta360 cameras before. Now the HDR mode, I feel like it has greatly improved colors. The colors are much more vivid, but they're not completely oversaturated. I like the way that the HDR is actually displayed in this camera. And I think in most cases for people shooting with this camera, using the HDR mode actually makes a lot of sense. Now, if you have to match this to other footage from other cameras, I would recommend using the log mode, of course, because then you have more latitude for grading. You can give it a different kind of look. But if you're looking for a naturalistic, really popping colors and also having very nice texture in highlights and shadows, without doing a lot of post-processing, the HDR mode looks really good. They have added some functionality to this. They have enhanced the tracker a lot. So the tracker inside the app is much better now. That means you can, in post, after you've shot your little film, you select a person or object and it will follow around that person or object in your footage and always keep them in shot. And that is really useful, of course, because you don't actually have to completely rely on keyframes and it becomes more fluid, of course. Another thing that has something to do with this is also that you can now select a level horizon. So this camera has a gyroscope built in it. It knows exactly how it is turned around. So that means you can select an option in the app that would allow you to keep the horizon level at all times. So that's really useful. As you can see, the invisible selfie stick is of course still a thing, and I still think it's amazing. It makes your footage look like the camera is flying above a car, like in my demo footage, or that I'm actually just really holding my hand out without anything in my hand. So the camera is kind of flying in front of you. So this is, that's one of the first things that fascinated me about these 360 videos, because people who see this footage sometimes don't understand where the camera was. And that's something that is very unique that a normal action camera, of course, cannot do.
Now let's test the audio of the Insta360 ONE X2. The audio of the original camera wasn't too great, but this one is better. What do you say?
Yeah.
Does it sound better?
Yes, it does.
Now, the audio has also been greatly improved. This was something that was criticized a lot on the original one because the audio wasn't so great. Now, and they are still working on this, they are enhancing the audio. It's ambisonic audio, so it actually can now give you the audio from what you're seeing. The audio is actually focusing on what you chose in post-production. So if I'm pointing the camera in post, of course, at somebody who's talking, it will lift that audio more than the background audio of the camera we're currently not seeing. Let's see how that feature goes, and this will be something that I'm gonna look at in the final review of this camera. Another hardware improvement that actually scares me a little bit is the fact that this camera is now 10-meter waterproof without any case. Now, I also didn't test that yet. Well, partly because it scares me, and partly because I'm always a little bit worried that pre-production samples like this camera are actually not up to the task. But I will test it on the final review of the camera. I think it's fine. You can tell the difference between the two generations. It looks really, really well built. This one, yeah, you see all the rubber ceilings and all that kind of stuff that we have seen on GoPros and other cameras that have the same feature. Now, there are many, many things that I haven't looked at in this camera yet, but they will be part of the full review, I promise. For example, the 360 bullet time. So bullet time is something that Insta360 had a while ago already on many of their cameras, and with the One X it really became popular. So they have like a little lanyard that you can put below the camera. You shoot now at 100 frames per second at 3K, and you whip your camera around, and then you can actually slow it down while it's turning, and it looks like the bullet time effect from The Matrix, which became popular over 20 years ago, which makes me feel really old now. Another feature that we already knew from other Insta360 cameras is the FlowState stabilization. This is really amazing. It can be applied in post, and it will make your camera look like it's on a gimbal. With 360 video, of course, stabilization is much easier to accomplish than it is on a normal traditional 16:9 or 17:9 camera, of course, because there's much more wiggle room. But nevertheless, the FlowState stabilization, which has been greatly enhanced with every generation, and also this one of Insta360 cameras, is really, really something you should try out. Now, there are a lot more features of the Insta360 ONE X2 that I wasn't able to look at yet, as I mentioned in the beginning already. But as a first hands-on, you get my opinion here. This is a really, really cool device. I think people will be able to do very, very creative shots with this. I will also try to do a lot more with this and come up with a really, really comprehensive review at some point. And yeah, stay tuned to CineD for a lot more, and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.